before we get off track, let's introduce what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yes.
Legend of Korra.
Legend of Korra.
In the Avatar universe.
Cinematic.
ACU.
I think
Avatar
about the fucking Rosa. She's been quiet.
She has been quiet. But we have been watching Avatar. Well, we watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and now...
You really watched that.
Yeah, okay, I really watched it.
Yeah.
Because I was rewatching it.
Yeah.
We've both seen it.
Yeah.
I was rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then we've been rewatching Legend of... Well, in our own way. It hasn't been together, but we've been also rewatching Legend of Korra.
Well, to be fair...
I rewatched the first 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and then I never saw the last 2, so now I'm watching the last 2.
Yeah. So, well, to be fair, I kind of went off the rails and binged that show.
She did. I was gone for like a day, and then I came back, and she's like, well, I finished the show. And I was still on season 2, so...
It's just... And that's why I was trying to have self-control.
Yeah.
And, like, not watch Avatar on my own. Only watch it when you were.
Yeah.
Because... I just knew, but I'm also really familiar with that show because, like, I watched it a lot as probably 9 to middle school. I watched that show a lot, and, like, when it was showing on TV and the reruns and stuff, I just, whenever it was on, that's the show I would click on. Like, I think at the point when it would be playing on, like, fucking Teen Nick, that's when I would really watch it.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched it, like, a few summers ago, and, I mean, it's just so good. But Legends of Korra, I think when it first came out, I tried to watch it and get into it, and I just didn't really. And then I did watch it, I think probably the same summer that I watched Avatar.
Yeah.
And then when we watched it together and then I really binged it, I think that was when I truly... First time I watched it is because I knew it was gay, and I was like, alright,
okay, let me sit through this one.
I've heard about it, you know, you read Tumblr, and you're like, oh, okay, alright, y'all. But I think this recent time that we watched it, I really appreciated it more. And I think that's why I only watched Avatar when you did, because I still, every episode we watch, I'd be like, I remember what happened.
Yeah, it was like a fun, the initial series, it was a fun, like, little thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it got super deep at some point.
For sure.
So you're like, holy shit, they're like, what,
this
12,
is a kid's show?
12, 13, 14?
This all happened in a summer?
In the summer, dude, like.
The character development of motherfucking Zuko!
Let me get on my soapbox. One of my favorite characters throughout any TV show, movie, like, books, like, whatever, Prince Zuko and his fucking character arc, I will die. I will die for that.
Yes.
Like,
his voice is hot.
Oh my god.
So distinct and hot.
So hot. Yeah. Just thinking about
the
that.
Shaggy hair when he grows it out.
Oof. Yeah.
Peak.
Sorry.
Yes.
No, Prince Zuko, I fucking love him. He is, one of my favorite characters. And, like, when you really, God, I could write fucking essays and, like, theses on his character development. And not just the development, like, his, like, moral, like, complexity of him trying to find himself. And also Azula, too.
True.
Again, Prince Zuko, fucking love him. Azula, though, that's where you can really see the complexity. And
she's his foil.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, like, when you want to talk about, like, abused and abusive characters and, like, what that is to, like, grow up in that kind of, like, household and be, like, fucking groomed and, like...
Oh, my God, yeah.
And, like, what that does to a person, look at Azula. Like...
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like, when you really, like, look at her as a character, it's... I mean, who can blame her for turning out the way that she did? Like, I mean, again, not to excuse anything that she's done, like, literally fucking tortured, like, people. Yeah. But, like...
There's reasoning behind it.
Yeah, there's definitely... Yeah, reasoning. Not excuse, but reasoning.
Yeah.
Like... And when you look at that, and especially during her final battle, and the final battle between her and Zuko, and I told you
Katara.
this, and Katara, when she jumped in. But, like, I told you that, like, after we finished that episode, like, she had literally lost. She was losing everything.
That weird maniacal laugh that she had, and her hair would get crazier the more that she kind of.
I'm a sucker for, like, a hair being a reflection of, like, a character's like mental state or, like, develop. I mean, the same thing with Zuko. Like, his hair like symbolizes development. Yeah, like that whole thing. But yeah, when you really want to look at a character who's like losing everything physically, mentally, emotionally, and, like, what that does to someone. Yeah. Azula.
True. Exactly.
And, like, it really just, but both Azula and Zuko, I'm just like, I love them both as characters, and I also love a good villain. I love a good villain.
Yeah, I think
a good complex villain who, like, who's not just, like, bad for no reason, like, who
like the
really,
Joker or something.
Yeah, like, I can appreciate, like, surface level villains on, like, a level like that, because I'm like, okay, not everything needs to have, like, a deep backstory.
Yeah,
you have to, like, pick and choose sometimes for that. But, like, when you want a good character study, oh my god. First of all, Avatar is a great, I believe Avatar is a fucking great show for character studies. Like,
for sure. Like,
give me any character. I could write a whole essay on that. Like, fucking, like, Toph, I mean, obviously Aang, but, like,
come on.
I mean, talking about, like, Toph's, like, character study and, like, what that is and how that reflects on her, especially growing up when you see, like, what she kind of turned into in Legend of Korra.
Yeah, I mean, even in that first episode or two, when she was introduced, they told you, like, she's like this because her parents are like this.
Which is really interesting because, I mean, when I was watching, like, Legend of Korra and you see fucking Sue and, God, why can I remember Sue's name?
Chief
Beifong.
Yeah. Well, what's her first name? Lin.
Yeah, when you see, like, Sue and Lin talking about how Toph gave them too much freedom as kids, well, that's because her parents didn't give her enough.
That's true.
And so if you only watched, like, Legend of Korra and you didn't know, like, why Toph's parents, you'd be like, why, like, she didn't care about her kids, which, I mean, like, Toph is a very complex character, like, clearly, and, like, she shows emotions in different ways, but, like, the way that she parents is a reflection of how she was raised.
Yeah, which I think that could say for any parent.
Oh, no, for sure, yeah. And, like, also, and that's not, like, and it also shows that parents don't really know what they're doing. Like, you've never done this before, like...
Yeah, the moment you realize your parents are humans... Yeah. I mean, truthfully, my personal theory is most of, like, your resentment and the way that you are and, like, your own issues stems from your parents. And that is because you realize your parents aren't perfect.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other shit of why they weren't
next
perfect.
Episode. Talking about our parents.
Let's dive into trauma.
Right? Not this episode.
My parents are going to watch it and be like, oh, shit. What do we do?
Right?
No, I'm kidding.
My mom did her absolute best. But, like, when you think about, like, and I'm the oldest child, too. So, so are you. Yeah. So we're, like, we really were first pancake, like, don't know what they're doing with that. I think I turned out pretty good. I mean, stay tuned, we'll find out. But
yeah, I mean, your parents aren't perfect, but you think that they are. And then one day there's a day where you realize they're not.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
And then you're like, oh, shit, I was way too hard on them. Like,
yeah.
But anyways. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, no, I fucking love all the characters, so fucking complex. Yeah. And how they travel from Avatar to Legend of Korra. And how you can see through the generations.
Yeah, and so, there goes my phone. But anyways, it's one of the few shows where I feel like a man wrote a female character well. Yeah. Because sometimes you'll write something like, oh my god, not write, but watch. Yeah. Like when I was watching the recent Men in Black, if you don't already know, I fucking love Men in Black. I think it's so good. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. I mean, of course the first movie's the best, but the rest of the trilogy I still love. I still think it's great. So I was super excited for Men in Black International, and I love that Tessa Thompson was in it. I was like, yes! Yeah. Because I thought we were so cheated how in the first movie they introduced a female agent, and then she wasn't in the rest of the movies. And so I was like, yes, finally, a female agent, and blah, blah, blah. But when I was watching that movie, I was just kind of like, are you kind of fucking kidding me? Like, it just felt like it was written by a guy, and in the sense of, like,
God, there was movies where you can, or movies or TV shows where you can tell is written by a man.
Yeah, when those credits...
Men just don't know how to write female characters.
They don't. And my personal philosophy is just write them as you would anyways. I don't really think there's too much of a difference between genders. And if there is...
I mean, when you stop looking at gender as, like, something that's...
As a binary...
Yeah, as a thing. I mean, it's 2020. Like, we know gender isn't real. Like,
exactly. And it only is when there's these gender roles that are imposed by people and the patriarchy and all that fucking bullshit. But anyways, I was watching that movie and I was like, this feels like it was written by a man, because there's too much of, like, I am a woman moments and I am a woman and I'm doing this moments, and I was just like,
I'm sorry, I'm over scenes where, like, where a female character gives this, like, speech about how, well, I'm a strong woman, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
and that's why I can.
Yeah,
like,
and screw men, except for this one man who, I'm like, no, I'm so over that, because that's just not,
so annoying.
It's, at least for me, it's so annoying to see female characters who all it is their, like, strong female role. Like, I'm kind of past that being their strong, like, their main defining point, because if it's, for me, a true, like, strong female character, that's not a statement that they have to make every other episode.
No, exactly, and that's what I had the problem with the movie. And also, I feel like the screenwriter should have really just molded himself and the movie just to the first movie, just the humor that it was, and just, there's so much just individuality. Oh my god, this fucking camera. Anyways, there's so much, like, amazing, just, I could write a whole essay about why I love that movie and why it's so unique and awesome. And I feel like he could have, but it was just too much of a blockbuster movie, and you know what I'm talking about. They just had to fit the mold. But anyways, those woman moments, and it just didn't fit and feel. And so when I saw the credits roll, I was like, that kind of looks like it's a man's name. And then I looked on IMDb, and it was a man, and I was just like, oh my god, of course.
Yeah.
But the one thing, anyways, I will
Reel
say
back in.
about the Avatar universe is those are the few men who can write female characters.
Dude, and it's
really
so refreshing. It is
Yes.
so refreshing.
Yeah, because they're not focused on her gender.
Yeah.
They're just the fact that she's a fucking character.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, that's the thing, like,
she's
seeing
her own person.
Well, like, and so many people talk about, like, oh, like, I love a good complex character. I think all characters should be complex, because there's no,
That's
like...
the reality
Yeah,
of
there's
it.
no binary of, like, good or bad or whatever. Like, you have, like, fucking, Uncle Iroh. Like,
yeah,
like,
oh my god, Iroh.
Like, looking at him as a character, like... You know, he started off being this, like, fire general who, like,
he was the Fire Lord for a little bit, right? Or no?
He
was
going to be, but then his son died, and he, like, went through that whole thing. But he attempted to overtake and hold Ba Sing Se, and, you know, he was a fucking general, and he led, like, you know, war, and it did all this really horrible shit, and then later on in life, like, I mean, I would have loved to be able to see more of how that development, like, came along, but obviously I get that it's a limited series, but being able for him to go through his life and end up to the point where he was in Avatar, or even in Legend of Korra, like, the bits that we get to see of him, like, it just, being able to see how he really, like, turned into this new person and this and becomes so at peace. And I feel like that's at least where he ended up as a character was only where he was when when the show ends is only a place where characters can be after going through, like, the things that he had. Like, you can't
like
be
losing his son.
losing his son, like, having to go through that, like, great amount of trauma. I don't think a character or someone could get to that point of being so at peace with the universe and in touch with the spirits and aware of, like, nature and what's going on. I don't think a character can get to that point without having to go through the development that he did.
I completely agree. And, I mean, they even hint at, like, when he still was, like, that big baddie general in that one, like, flashback episode with Zuko, how, like, they kind of already thought lowly of him and that he was, like, weak and stuff. Yeah. But, no, I think it's interesting. And, oh, my gosh. What does this say? Change the battery. What? I thought it was charged. Oh my gosh. That's criminal. Okay. Alright, well, camera battery died.
A little intermission there.
So now we're filming on the laptop. So just
bear with us. Sorry. Again, this is first episode, please.
We're working it out.
We are working through it. So what we were talking about.
So we were talking about just character development. Yeah, but the writers of that show, I mean, the showrunners, they really were, like, kicking ass and shit. Yeah. And, okay, so now transitioning to, like, Legends of Korra. Yeah. Without spoiling too much, because...
I still haven't finished the last season.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, okay. So I won't
say
then
much. Really not without spoiling too much. I'm, like, halfway through it.
Okay, alright. Ooh.
I know. I know.
So, well... kind of, I guess, like, the background. If anybody remembers when it first, like, came out and shit, Well, apparently, okay, so the showrunners were kind of like running off the fuel that like their first series was so successful, so that they had more leeway room and they could do more that they wanted. And Nickelodeon was like, yo, this shit is dark, almost too dark for kids.
Yeah,
like we
dude, it's especially the third season.
That's dark.
So intense.
It is, and then you're like, this is a kids show. So if you guys don't really remember it, or you felt like you fell off of it, that's because they halfway, I think, through the second season, or like season 3.
I think it was season 3, because initially when it was coming out, I had watched up to the end of the second season.
Yeah. They put it online. So if anybody feels like they missed out, or they're like, I fell off that show, it's because they put it online and they didn't really tell anybody about it. So,
which, like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it got really dark, which I love. I mean, I love, like, watching, like, you know, cartoons, like, anime, like, that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, it takes something that's, like, traditionally thought as, like, you know, animations, things like that, that's, kid-ish type thing.
Yeah.
But, like, and like, making fucking art out of it. Like,
I mean, seriously, these guys, I can't remember the showrunner's last names, I'm very sorry, but
I should know, I've watched, like, fucking 1,000 episodes.
But they fucking just went for it and they ditched it, and I love that what really struck me when it first came out, I mean, given I was, like, pre-woke, maybe, or I was just younger, like, too young to really understand the dynamic and the complexity of the world, but I thought it was badass that it was a girl, you know, and I read an article.
Strong-ass girl.
A strong-ass girl.
Muscles.
And when I was reading, I was gonna be more prepared. I was gonna have fucking like, quotations and shit, but I don't.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I was reading an article by Variety Fair and The Guardian that came out like right after the finale did.
Okay.
And they were talking about basically how like when Nickelodeon first was like, oh, a girl protagonist, and they like did it to like group testing because they're always so concerned if boys are into watching it or not, and literally like the little boys were like, she's strong, we don't care, we love this, you know, like, kids don't care like that. It's crazy the people in Hollywood who still hold these like old ass mentalities and traditions that just don't. They don't mean shit anymore, but they still think that way, and that's why...
Well, like, what you're saying with, like, why Teen Titans, like, got, like, canceled.
If anybody doesn't know that, it's because too many girls were into the show, and they wanted boys, and they thought they couldn't sell merchandise and action figures.
I would have
Teen
bought
it.
Was my shit.
It was so good.
I would watch that show every single morning before like going to school. I loved that show.
Yeah,
and I would have bought the shit out of any merchandise.
Oh my god! I mean, I did for The Incredibles. Yeah, like I went to the fucking Disney store and bought whatever I could. Yeah. But that's why they canceled it, is because too many girls were into it. I mean, now we're in the world of, like, fangirls, which is awesome, because if you can get fangirls behind your shit,
dude, you're sold.
You're successful.
Yeah.
But it was before that, so then that's why if you ever watch the last episode and you're like, oh my god, this is where they ended.
Teen Titans,
Yeah, of Teen Titans, then it's like, oh my god, really? Like, there's so much more that could have happened.
Yeah.
And that's literally because they were just like, canceled, you know? But also there's a lot of Napoleon Dynamite references in that last episode.
Really?
Yes.
I'll have to go back and rewatch
It's really funny. They literally have a character that looks just like him, and then they have like a vote for Pedro sign in the background.
That's so funny.
It's so weird. I made a Tumblr post about it forever ago, but I didn't get a lot of reblogs.
Yeah.
I haven't been on Tumblr in a long time. But anyways, with Legend of Korra, I don't want to spoil too much because I'm sure... Look, we're in a time of quarantine. Fucking binge that shit. Dude, it's on Amazon. Get your free Nick Hits subscription for a week. Then cancel it. You know the drill.
Or Amazon Prime. You got like it's free on that. I don't know when they did that. Oh, what other show? We saw some show that. Oh, maybe it was Teen Titans. No, it wasn't Teen Titans. We saw some other show. Zoe 101. Zoe 101 is also on Amazon Prime.
Is it?
It is.
I think they have a lot of Nickelodeon stuff on there.
In case you wanted a good...
Oh, yeah.
So since we're talking about nostalgia this episode...
Right? Anyways.
Right, if you really want to feel like a kid.
Anyways, with Korra, though, I've told this spiel to so many people. It's just... You don't realize how... It is definitely geared towards older people. And... I think it's once you get halfway through the second season when they really find their footing and they get past all the stupid romantic stuff that's in, like...
Oh, my God.
But I get it, because, like, they're older characters, so they're kind of feeding into the same tropes.
I will say, let me just talk real quick about the whole romantic thing.
Yeah.
Ever since Mako has... Or after...
We all know it gets gay. We all know it gets gay.
When it gets gay, and then I guess also spoiler, but not really.
Not really. Everybody knows that.
When Mako and Korra break up, like Mako should not be allowed to date anyone. I've said this. He's fucking horrible in relationships. He should not be allowed to date anyone. Mm-hmm. But once he gets out of that, he's much more tolerable. I like him. Yeah, I think he's really funny as a character when you realize he's just like this awkward, like little like I kind of fucked up with these two girls and now they're dating each other and I guess that's cool. Yeah. Like I like him so much more as a character when he's not dating anyone.
He's way more tolerable, but you get to like the characters more later on. And it's for anybody who read Percy Jackson. Mm-hmm. When you got to the Hero of Olympus continuation, it was hard to get into it because you're comparing it to the old series and you want the old magic of the old series, and that's kind of how Korra is.
Yeah. But I mean, same thing with like the Heroes of Olympus. Like when, like it just kind of it reaches a certain point where it finds its footing and is able to like. Create its own thing.
Exactly. And then you love that, and you love the new characters, and you love how it goes. And that's kind of how Korra is.
It takes a second, because you feel so protective towards the old characters. Yeah. And you're like, well, blah, blah, blah. The so-and-so character wouldn't do this, or if this is now, this character would do this.
Yeah, and you want to know what happened to everybody, but they really feed you that throughout the season. Yeah. They do it very well. They do it in the sense of, like, they don't give you too much because they want you wanting more. Yeah. And I can respect that.
They want you wanting more, and also I think it kind of establishes this is not about them.
Exactly.
This is a new group. This is a new characters, new stories. Like, yes, it's fun to be nostalgic and think about, oh well, I wonder what happened after like the initial series, and I wonder how Aang and Kintara, how that kind of ended up, and how Zuko and blah 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 and all this stuff. And it's fun to think about that. And I'm sure there's 1,000 Tumblr posts on
oh my God,
on like what happened with that. But when it comes to Legend of Korra, I think they establish it pretty quickly that this is not that. This is its own.
There's a new avatar.
Yeah, like you're saying, they feed you little bits. They're like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I think that Tenzin's whole thing was like, they're like, oh, you're missing Aang. Here's an entire, like...
Here's Aang.
Here's Aang as an adult.
Yeah, literally his prodigy in a way, I guess. His
but even with
legacy.
But even with that, they take it and they turn into its whole thing where, I mean, there's a whole fucking episode about... Or maybe not an entire episode, but like there was a good portion about Tenzin, who I think when he was in the spirit world or something, he actually saw Aang and they talked, and Aang was like, "You are not me. It's stop comparing yourself to me. You are yourself." Yeah. And so they have a whole thing with that, even where if you look at Tenzin and you think you're like, "Oh, that's just Aang Jr." I mean, they explain it's not. It's like
he is himself.
Yeah, he is. Each character is its own thing, and not. Like, there's no... Also, I really like... There's no, like, really equivalent of, like, oh, well, Korra is the Aang of this season,
and she compares herself to him a lot.
Yeah. But, like, there's no,
like... to live up to.
There's no, like, correlations where you're like, well, who's the Katara of the group, and who's the Sokka of the group?
Yeah.
And they definitely try and make... At least, I think with Bolin, they try to make him the Sokka of the group. Yeah. But again, when the show,
he becomes his own little
I know.
I want to pinch his cheeks.
I'm like, oh, fucking... I think Bolin's one of my favorite characters. Cute. But they, like... When the show really finds its footing, there's no equivalent, or there's no, like, this is this of this season. Yeah. And I really respect that, and I really like it. Because if it was just the same thing, then that's the same show. Like, if it's the same characters, then, okay, like, we've already seen that, sure, it's fun, but then it just leaves you, it leaves you thinking of, this is so-and-so 2.0, this is whatever, it's the same storylines. Yeah. But
which they don't. They really do have their own. Yeah. And so that's the other thing that I love about Legends of Korra is legends, not plural, but it's like it is a lot more adult themed. I mean, they're definitely gearing towards like their older. It's kind of like what Pixar does. They're like, oh hey, you liked Monsters Inc. when you were young, and now here's something for our older audience. And they did that with Toy Story. And that's kind of how Legend of Korra is. And I think that's why they go into these darker and deeper like. Thoughts and storylines and stuff like that. I mean, but like Korra is an amazing character. She's so complex. Like she's awesome.
What I really love that they did with her character, and I think good writers can do this with anyone, is go through this like the character development without the audience even realizing.
Yes. And then you get to that last season, and you're like, oh my god, this is And
I mean, granted, between the 3rd and 4th season, like, I mean, you can tell that Korra went through some major...
She went through some
major shit. And, like, and that obviously changed her as a character, but even compared to who she was before that shit at the end of season 3, and if you've watched it, you know what
we're talking about.
Yeah, even before, like, the shit that happened, who she was at the beginning of season 3 was not the same who she was at the beginning of season 1.
Yeah.
And you can't exactly pinpoint the exact moments.
The transition.
When her character transitions from being this hotshot, up-and-coming avatar to the avatar.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think, well, so other things I love about this series is, like, well, there's that. And I think I like how the 4th season is, like, just when she solves a problem.
Yeah.
It's like it creates a new problem and she has to deal with that. And she goes through way more traumatic shit than Aang ever went through. Like, it's crazy the shit she goes through.
Aang had a lot more pressure on him, I would say. Like the pressure to, like, save the world.
Yeah, after 100 years.
After 100 years of being a 12-year-old kid. So, like, he had definitely a lot more pressure on him and a lot more, like, time constraint. I think that's also, like, a time constraint of having, like, a set date of, like, hey, you gotta get your shit together by this date or the world is gonna end.
Yeah.
Versus Legend of Korra, it's like she kind of, I mean, she has a little bit of that pressure, but it's more of, like, her figuring out things as she goes and then also going through, like, traumatic shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like the 4th season the best, is because I like when stories don't, like, I mean, the shit that a hero goes through. Yeah. I like when...
a hero's journey.
A hero's journey. And I like when stories acknowledge that nobody can just go through that and not be, like...
changed.
It's hard from it. And that's why I like the 4th season is they deal with her PTSD. They never say it's PTSD, but it's, like...
They absolutely deal with it. And it's not just from the blatantly traumatic events either. Yes. Like, they go back all the way to the first season. And I mean, the whole episode of her and Toph, like... when she like, had to do that. I don't want to spoil, like, too much, but, like...
Look forward to that.
Yeah, look forward to that. So I guess a little spoiler warning, like, from here. But, like, when, like, she kind of meets up with Toph, and Toph was like, hey, dude, you're fucked up. You're fucked up and you're traumatized. Yeah. Like, and you gotta deal with it. Yeah. And she's like, well, like, I guess this one thing that happened is traumatizing, but I don't see what everything else has to do with it. Yeah. And then, like, as you're watching it, you're like, oh, or, like, as she's kind of going through it, like, all the way back to the shit that happened in season 1, she's like, oh, shit, yeah, no, I'm still processing that.
Exactly. And, like, and I like how it's, like, she doesn't have to be dependent on anybody. Like, this is her own journey. She has to figure this out herself. Mm-hmm. I mean, I liked that a lot. I think it's very empowering. I think it's super cool. I think it's relatable to everybody. I mean, I like, again, like, you're not watching it feeling like a dude wrote it. You know, like, this is a real experience. Yeah. This is universal. This is everybody.
These are real characters. Like, yeah. I mean, like, if you take away, like, the bending and stuff, and you just look at the personalities of the characters. Yeah. Dude, it's
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, like, I'm such an avid believer, like, if you like things that are geared towards, like, YA, and you love that, like, that is all you
okay.
love it. Like, I will always support that. Yeah. I love reading YA books more than, like, fucking shit that's...
Because you know what, sometimes I just need a book that's just gonna, like, give me, like, the YA that I want.
Feeling.
Like, not everything needs to be so adult. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
It's okay to still, like, want to read, like, YA fucking fantasy novels. Dude, that shit is... that's my shit.
But even that stuff has those, like... grown-up... adult themes like Korra does, like, and it's crazy, and I feel like it's so underrated because sometimes you slap that YA, like, title onto it, and then people don't respect it for what it is, when it should be respected more.
No, for sure.
It's crazy. And the other thing I love about that series, too, is, like, Avatar doesn't have time to explore the fact that, like, the Avatar is both the connection between our world and the spiritual world. But Korra's like, okay, we don't have time for that in the first series.
We're going to talk about that now.
We're going to talk about, like, the role of the Avatar. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. It adds a different perspective. The animation is just absolutely beautiful.
Oh, my God. Just I can go on about the animation and the fucking, like, soundtrack and the themes that go with it.
God, that composer deserves an award.
It needs to go the fuck off. And, like, I mean, back to, like, the fucking first season with Zuko and, like, Zuko's theme. Oh my God, when you hear Zuko's theme, you know shit's about to go down. Like, you don't see him yet, but his music will start. Yes,
you know
exactly.
Wear the mask.
Yes.
Oh my God.
But like you hear that music and
Yeah.
you know, you're like, oh shit, where is he? Like,
what's about to happen?
Right, what's about to happen? But oh my god, I'm a sucker for a good, like, musical score. Like,
yes.
And a good score, and then a good, like, and being able to tell the story through that music by itself. And, like...
Well, I feel like that kind of makes it. Like, I feel like a big part of a film is the soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, and, like, I even compared, like, listening to the music from the initial series from Avatar to the music from Legend of Korra, and how Avatar is a lot more of that, like, the classical, ancient sounding, like, I'm sure there's a correct name for it, I don't know. But, like, that kind of, like, classical music versus Legend of Korra is that more like upbeat, fast, almost like jazz sounding, like industrial type thing. Even when they talk about like the previously on,
and it's like previously on Avatar or Legends of Korra.
Yeah,
he has that voice.
Yeah, and it has like that kind of like old timey like whatever to it. I just love attention to detail like that.
Yeah, but I like that combination of like, okay, and I mean, shit, they really, especially in that third and fourth season, they're making political comments.
Oh,
whether or not you pick up on that, they are.
Yeah.
And big time, and I like how they're like, okay, how does the old world fit in this new world, and how can we have this balance in our world? And I that's a comment right there for sure. It's something.
Yeah.
But I like that. And also, I feel like it was the natural next step because the Fire Nation was already in the first series having this crazy advanced technology, or even those people were hanging out at the air temple.
Yeah.
You know? So it makes sense.
It was something that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess, and that's anything with, like, even in, like, real world history, like, you look at certain key points in history, and you're like, something is gonna happen. Like,
for sure.
I mean, like, you look at certain time periods and you're like, like, this is, it makes sense that everything was gearing up towards this next thing.
Yeah.
And that's how it feels like with Avatar and then Legend of Korra. You see the very basic principles of, like, metal bending. Like, that is such a huge role.
Yeah.
And, like, metal bending in itself, and then the idea that there isn't just one type of bending, that you can, fucking, like, water bending in Legend of Korra.
Oh my god, yes. God. I was like, we're missing the point.
Like, yes. The fucking water bending, like, I mean, I'll let you go on the spiel about that, because you got it.
Clearly, the showrunners have personal feelings for water bending. They clearly like it. Well, okay, let's talk about even the intro, like, the fact that it doesn't start with water, it's like, earth, fire, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're starting with, like, who's next in the cycle, so I don't know if y'all picked up on that.
Yeah.
So that's why it doesn't start with water, because Korra was next. But, like, Katara in the first season, when you watch Korra and all the other waterbenders in the second series, you know Katara was being held back.
Yeah.
Like, Katara was being held back. She is not a weak character.
Because they were going on all these, like, fucking, they're like, okay, well, Aang basically mastered waterbending in the first season. Like that. And so they're like, okay, we fly through the air, no water. We go into the Earth Kingdom, no water. Fire Nation, no water.
No water.
So Katara's like, well, fuck me.
I gotta use what I got. You know?
So she really wasn't given the opportunity to shine.
Show off how cool she was.
No, she would have. And seeing how that transferred into, like, the, like, Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
And how, like, I mean, even things like, blood bending and metal bending. And then even how, like, the different things that you can do with the water. And even how, like, lightning bending is, like,
it's so normalized.
It's like such a normalized thing. It really explores the idea of, like, yes, these are the 4 basic elements, but within that, it makes up the entire world.
Yeah, or sand bending, the sunbenders.
Yeah, the sunbenders, like, all that shit. Like, the first season, or the first series, it sets it up for this entire world to be created.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I just think, in that second series in Korra, you just see how fucking cool, like, waterbenders are. I also like how they're like, every nation's fucked up. It's not just the Fire Nation. Everybody's fucked up all around.
Cannot get their shit together. Like, never will.
Bossing is always on some bullshit.
They're like, Bossing say.
They make so many comments too on just, like, fucking wealth and
dude, fucking class war.
Oh
and
my god.
I mean, maybe Bossing Say should have a class war. Like,
I mean,
they basically did.
They
like,
do.
they're still trying on that.
There's
we'll see if they make another series, what they do with that.
I would be an Earthbender next, too.
Shit, maybe that cool. Earthbender would get that shit under control. I always felt partial towards earthbending. I don't know why, I just fucking loved it. And, like, I love the idea that, like, when you think about Earth, like, it's in fucking everything. Like, obviously, like, you know, with metal bending, like, you gotta dig a little to find that Earth, but, like, shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. Well, shit.
No, I just think that's so, I don't know. It's just, it's crazy how underrated it is, and we also only have each other to talk to.
I know. We have the amount of conversations we've had about this, and a lot of it's kind of repetitive. Good. Like, we're basically saying the same thing that we've been saying.
Stuff we've already said on our own.
But, like, it's so good, and it's just so, like, the things that they talk about, and even, I guess, like, back to, like, to the first series with Avatar, a lot of the episodes had, like, its own, like, little individual plot lines, which, I mean,
everybody has a moment to shine.
Yeah, everyone has a moment to shine, and obviously it all ultimately leads up to that final battle, which, oh my god, that final battle scene, my god, that was something in itself. But each episode kind of holds its own, like, little message and its story, and it introduces, like, new characters, like, for a little second.
Yeah.
And And Legend of Korra is a little more, like, plot-based, and, you know, you have a consecutive storyline, and Avatar is more, like, you're traveling to different places really quick, and
you get introduced to it.
You get introduced to a lot of different parts of the world, but it just, it gives so many different examples, and you see so many different types of characters, and it just, it sets a world up. And I love shows that, like, that introduce an entire world.
Yeah, and movies and shows that they don't even have, like, they're not adapted from something. Yeah. That's just, like, straight up from somebody's mind, and they made it like that. Like, having that visual component always blows my mind. But I think the last point that I want to make about Korra is, again, we all know it gets gay.
Yeah.
It's a kid's show, so as much as you want more of that build-up that, like...
They're just not there.
Oh, my gosh. Fucking, this shit froze!
It's gonna be, like, an hour and a half.
I know, right?
It's okay.
Okay, we had to restart it because it froze and my computer's just...
Talk about, like, low quality. You know, that's
I know,
okay.
You can see her flickering light and shit.
Oh, God.
Anyways, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
But what I love about Korra, too, is, again, like, I think when I was reading the Vanity Fair article, I really recommend reading the Guardian, the Vanity Fair articles that came out right after the finale for the show did.
Yeah. Because
they're really well written. They put way more. I'm basing most of what I'm saying off of that with the, like, kind of, like, gay relationship and all that. I mean, like, the Vanity Fair article talked about how, like, the creators, you know, you could accuse them of, like, pandering to the audience, but I think there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. Yeah. If your audience is noticing things about your characters that you weren't able to or you didn't even notice, but, like, the creators said, I like their statement that they said, like, they both went on their own blogs after it came out, and they were like, hey, that last scene, it is gay. Yeah. It's gay. You can't doubt it. It's gay, and we wanted it to be. And how they talked about how, like, in Hollywood, there is this unspoken rule that you shouldn't show LGBT relationships.
Yeah, it
or,
can
like,
only
characters.
Be implied.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, well, this rule isn't even written. Like, why are we abiding by something that isn't even true?
Yeah.
You know, and so and again, they were already online. You know, Nickelodeon was already like, yo, you guys are already going too deep. And they're like, fuck it. So last episode, you all knew it was there. We see it too.
Yeah.
Like, and they did it. And I think it's great because that's what the audience wanted.
It also,
and it's true. You can see it. Even,
oh my God,
even though they can't directly tell you the build-up because it's just still so taboo to have.
It can't give you that slow burn that, oh my God.
That we want.
Yeah.
But because, again, it's just so taboo. But, like, and it shouldn't be, but it's fucking is for whatever reason. Even though it's, like, that's the reality of it. It's, like, people have queer relationships and people have queer parents and it needs to be represented. Yeah. But it's not because people have still so close-minded
It's only it's in kid shows. It really only is a taboo because they make it one. Like, kids don't fucking know, like,
and they don't see otherwise. They don't. There's nothing wrong to them. Yeah, unless you tell them it's wrong.
Yeah, unless you tell them it's wrong, or you don't, like, if you don't fucking represent people, then that's why kids grow up not happy with themselves and not being able to see themselves represented in media and TV shows is because fucking, like, Hollywood and, like, show writers, they refuse to do it because they don't think it's, like, or they think it's, like, taboo, and And it does not end well, and if you just fucking normalized it, then it wouldn't even be a big deal.
Exactly. So that's why I really respect them for doing that, because they were like, you know what, yes, it made sense. And if you watch it, like, when I was watching it again with you, or, well, on my own.
Yeah.
But, like, when you know, it just, in the 4th season, again, they can't directly say it, but you're like, it makes the most sense. Like, I mean, again, I'm assuming you already know, it's fucking, I want to keep saying Katara, it's the case.
Yeah.
Korra and Asami, you know it's them, but when you
also, they just made Asami too pretty to not be gay.
I mean, come on, like, femme rights.
Truly, they're like, okay, Korra, Mako, Bolin, okay, make Asami. Like, no, literally, they're like very like basic, like, you know, animation, whatever, and then they're like, okay, we need a whole team on Asami.
No, literally, but like, their relationship is so organic, way more than Asami's relationship with Mako, more than Katara.
And I love there's never, well, I guess a little, like, very briefly in the first season, but, like, there's never that, like, jealousy, like, that whatever, because, I mean, they very could have easily made it that way between, like, had, like, the love triangle, and they tried to do that, but then they're like, no.
It just didn't work.
Yeah.
And it didn't work because it was supposed to be Korra and Asami.
Yeah. And then also, it didn't work because there's the whole idea of, like, saving the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, like, even with the Avatar, with Aang and Katara, they had that whole conversation where Aang was like, so, like, I like you. And then Katara's like, dude, we're, like, trying to save the world right now. Like, I don't have time. So, it's, like, it's always kind of been a theme, like, throughout both shows that, like, saving the world kind of comes first.
And I like that maturity.
And Korra does a whole lot of saving the world.
Yeah.
So, like, she really doesn't have that much time to, like, I guess, really evaluate, like, maybe I am gay. Like...
Yeah, and I think... Well, okay, again, like, I like that maturity of the show. Is like, okay, despite, especially Korra, we all tried to date each other, it didn't work.
But they're all tried to date each other and it did not work.
But they're all mature about it, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great lesson anybody can take from it. But I like, too, is I think Korra feels like she needs to be with Mako, and I feel like she gets jealous and she wants to be with him, but it's misguided because in the end, she really wanted to be with Asami. Yeah. And when she was with Mako, it didn't work.
Dude, because they fucking fought about everything. If you go back and you just watch, like, and just observe their relationship, she will blow up at him for no reason.
Like, you're siding with Mako. You're like, damn, Mako, like, I'm so sorry.
Within their relationship, you're like, damn, like, poor Mako. Like, she just goes in on him. Yeah. And it's because she doesn't fucking like him like that. Like,
she just wants to be his friend. But I like that everybody can be mature about it. And Asami and Korra, it just makes the most sense. Yeah. And I love that they did that. And I love that they talk about in their own personal statements. One of the showrunners, again, his last name starts with a K, but I can't remember it. He basically was just like, this made the most sense. I'm sorry we didn't do this sooner. This is what's right. Yeah. And I love that. And I love that they think like that. And it makes me super hopeful for the fact that motherfucking Netflix. If you guys didn't know this because it was so low key.
Yeah, there was no hype around it at all. But Netflix is adapting Avatar into its own live action series. Yes. And they've released one kind of like concept art piece about what it looks, and it looks fucking beautiful.
I feel like, I hope it's like Life of Pi, like type of animation, just like
because
beautiful
CGI. It really can be that. Like, even like with the animation, I mean specifically, back in Avatar in the first series, that fucking it's absolutely beautiful. I love good animation. Yeah. Oh my god, like it's absolutely beautiful. And then even in that the very last episode of the final battle between Aang and the
Fire Lord.
No, that's the
No, it's like Suzu. It starts with a Z.
Yeah, him. Between that
Fire Lord.
Yeah, the Fire Lord. Between that like final battle between the two of them. Oh my god.
Crazy.
Like that. I mean, also, okay, let me just go into my final spiel real quick about how I love how they constantly compare Zuko and Aang. Yes. The whole series. Yes. Like anytime either one of them is kind of going through like a character development type episode, they're always mirrored with each other. That like. Even though their characters are really not the same, like when you look at like them, like their backstory and how they grew up. They're really not the same, but they always show them like parallel to each other of having to either go through like a really extreme training episode or like with the fucking final battle. You know, Zuko is fighting Azula while Aang is fighting the Fire Lord. And both of those battles were so beautifully done. Yeah. Like, they were so well done. And, like, the animation was so beautiful. And I just can't wait to see what Netflix has to do with that.
Exactly.
Because Netflix will... They will
fuck some shit up.
They will fuck some shit up. I don't care if, like... I mean, some of their shit, like, you know, maybe, like, the acting's whatever. Or, no, honestly, their acting is always good. Like, it's really the storylines really, but storyline's already written for Avatar. Like, you already have that. Netflix always finds good new actors who you don't really know.
That's true.
And they have the fucking budget to do it.
Yes.
And you never see Netflix lacking with poor budget or poor,
that's
like...
true.
Like, in all the shows, like, I mean, there can be plenty
Unless they want it to be more sitcom-y.
Unless they want it to be more sitcom-y, which from the concept art, I'm not getting that at all.
No.
But... What was I going to say? But with, like, the whole, like, animation and, like, how it's done, Netflix is never slacking on that. Like, Netflix will all, like I said, they'll have plenty of other reasons, like fucking 13 Reasons Why and shit shows like that. There's
fucking insatiable.
Oh, and there's plenty of other reasons why shows like that fail, but it's not the budget. The budget is there.
Yes.
I mean, shit, like I said, the plot and the storyline, but that's already made for Avatar.
Yeah. Well, so with the live action, they already have the original showrunners on it, and they were like, we're not going to whitewash it. Like, we know why the live action failed.
Oh my god.
Which, that's a whole thing we could talk about.
I think I've blocked that out of my memory.
M. Night Shyamalan, and like, why.
Which
I don't get why he doesn't have representation.
It
doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes the representation is him in the film.
Literally.
So, I don't get it. That's another time, another place.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they were like, no, we're going to have the representation. Yeah. This is not going to be whitewashed. We hear you, we see you, we know.
Yeah.
And
I'm so excited for seeing the actual representation.
Yes.
Because I've talked about this. They hint at it, or I mean, not even hint at it. They fucking show, like, it's so clear that obviously these are not white, like, these are not white characters.
They're not.
But even more so than that, like, at least to me, like, it's very clear that, like, waterbenders are native. Like, those are fucking Native American characters. No, I guess in this world it's not American.
Yeah,
but, like, those are fucking native characters.
But clearly there's, like, ties to them.
Fucking firebenders, when they go back to the whole, like, sun bending and the sun gods and stuff, that's fucking Aztec. Like, that's the entire Aztec culture right there. Like, worshipping the sun god, of course. Like, and you can look across all the characters and you're like, they have, it's not white. It is not white.
It's a show that is heavily influenced by Eastern cultures.
Yes.
So the fact that, like, originally white actors were casted, I mean, white actors, even for fucking Katara, you casted a white-ass bitch for Katara? That's like fucking putting a Kardashian in.
Like, what?
It doesn't make sense.
It does not make any sense, especially when she is a brown, like, they are
She's
brown.
Clear. It's clear.
They are
like,
brown.
How did you miss the mark? So that's what I'm excited about. And they have the original composer for the live action show too, so we're going to get the sound.
God, that fucking soundtrack, the visuals. I am so excited for that.
All we need, I mean, I don't care if it's like exactly like each episode verbatim, just like, but it's live action and just
but
like
I think overall I don't think they'll go so much into like the small like mini plots that Avatar did.
Yeah.
I think they will focus a lot more on like the overall arching. But I would love to see if because I know they go a lot more into history wise as far as the Avatar and Legends of Korra.
True. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if they do that in Avatar. Because I mean they fucking go, like in Legends of Korra they go into like the first Avatar and that whole thing and you didn't really know about
the history and how the Avatar even came to be and like how they really are like the balance
and
of, like order.
And why they're the balance of that. Like you don't learn about like they kind of fucked up initially and like now it's like, you know, thousands of years later they're the Avatar because they're trying to make up for that mistake that they made.
And it makes you think, even with Korra, like going back to the first season, why like Aang and Zuko are always so like compared to each other in episodes, because they explain why in Korra. Yeah. Because just summarize, because we went deep and then we went like fucking into Korra. But I will say about Korra is, well, okay, so with the live action, it was supposed to come out in fall of this year. Probably won't. I can't wait. I hope it's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be amazing. I think they're going to get a little darker with it.
I would love to see that.
I hope so, but who knows? It is Netflix. You have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah.
If it's even still going to be geared towards kids. But I think they're really going to they're going to dive into just why the show is, and the characters
I would love to
are
see
so
them
dynamic.
do it a lot darker, but also kind of like dark comics. These kids are fucking traumatized. They go through some traumatizing
seriously.
shit. And kind of, I mean, not to compare it to like Percy Jackson, but like...
Oh my god. Don't get another podcast.
Another episode. But like Percy Jackson, like, he's a fucking traumatized kid who makes jokes that aren't funny to the outside person.
No.
To other kids who are also traumatized. They're like, oh, haha, yeah. Like,
it's like divorced parents.
No, literally. But like, I would love to see some of that like dark humor in Avatar, where they're making these jokes, and as an outside like viewer, you're like, now wait a second, like, this shouldn't be like that.
It's just like when Sokka was like, well, my girlfriend became the moon.
Yeah, that's rough. But like, to them, sure, that's how they cope.
Yeah.
But then to us, obviously, that's funny as shit.
Yeah, but then you're like,
oh shit, like,
somebody needed
clearly Sokka is still going through that.
Yeah, but I just there's so much that could be said about why both. I mean, we know why Avatar is good, but I feel like there's so much more that you could say about why Korra is so good, and I feel like it wasn't given a chance that should have been, because one, it was really dark and it was already kind of sold as a kid's show. Yeah. Two, you have a POC girl as your main character, and I think it's just sexism and racism that really kind of hurt it. And she's also queer, so that kind of...
And she gets to, like, she's essentially disabled by the end of the series.
Yeah, which that is... But I'm hoping that if The Last Airbender, the live action, does really well on Netflix, I'm hoping they'll be like, let's do Korra.
Oh, and I would love that.
I think it being live action and then also being the property of Netflix, I think it could do everything that the original series wasn't able to do.
God, because
it was on Nickelodeon.
If they do this good and they do it right, oh my god, it will be beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, beautiful.
Exactly. And okay, to get a little film theory into it, sometimes I know, like, fidelity, it can break your film because people have an idea of what it looks like, but sometimes when people hold something so close to their heart, there's nothing wrong with fidelity. Yeah. There's nothing wrong. Don't put your own fucking spin on it. Just do what people want. Yeah. And that's how it will be good and successful. Yeah. But that's... We could write a fucking
I'm sure
paper.
I'm sure we will go off on this more in the future as just... For no reason
exactly.
other than our own wantings to talk about it.